Hello, everyone. It's Heather Esposito here, and I am with Michael, and it's Michael's video debut. How you
On
feeling, Mike?
small screen,
Yep,
yes.
on its small screen debut. How you feeling right now, Michael?
Feeling good. It's been a good day so
Good,
far.
good, good. So, Michael and I are here because we just want to talk about our journey together. Michael and I start working together August of 2021.
Yes.
Right. So tell us, Michael, how what was going on in your life before we started working together, and like how did you like how did we end up working together? Like what was going on that that you had? I can't talk today. It's got to be like the full moon that was last night or something. Words are not. What was going on in your world that like created us, coming together to work together?
I would say that you were a direct result of my move from Santa Fe, New Mexico, where I had been 33 years, to Charlotte.
Mm.
And I was living in Matthews, an area of Charlotte, well, an area south of Charlotte,
Hmm.
city proper. Um, I was noticing that I needed assistance in uh, going forward in my life. Manifesting, creating the ideas that were in my mind, but I needed someone to work with to help me to be in a more positive state in order to go forward.
Yeah. And you, one of the questions that I always ask people when we have our first initial conversation to see if we're a good fit is asking people like, what are their daily emotions? And most people are like depressed, like can't like seem to move forward. That wasn't so much the case for you.
No,
Like,
I had done a lot of work as uh, as a person growing up with. I know that I stream information. I know that I hear guidance. I used angels quite successfully for 30 years as a property inspector. So they would tell me, don't forget this condition, that condition, tell the client this and that. And so, that went on for many, many years. Um, but putting all of that into a positive formation for me is what I have greatly achieved since having worked with you, for this year and a couple of months.
yeah. Yeah. So what were some things that felt like were holding you back from like being who you wanted to be prior to us working together?
I had no sense of my power, my strengths. I would say that my self esteem, my confidence couldn't be used because I really didn't have access to it. I
Yeah.
didn't have an understanding of how to use it successfully and move into being a man, a father in my case,
Yeah.
to a daughter successfully. And what you did as a coach was with a whole series of
Mhm.
exercises pounded into me, integrated into me, changes that I needed to do in my life.
Yeah. And would it be fair to say that you were somebody who lived in your head a lot?
That would be being nice, yes. I mean, I just learned an exercise. Let's see, since I moved here to Wilmington in June, I've started taking yoga, but I also realized that my strength, I didn't have the strength. And I noticed just this week, in the last couple of days, that unless I stop multitasking, I will not be able to successfully be able to balance on one foot or the other and do these different positions in yoga. it's just impossible because my brain is thinking about, well, whatever it is, thinking about many different things at one time.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's where like you and I connect is because we both like, I know I'm very cerebral and I like had to work so hard to get out of my head and into my body. And that's what, whenever I have clients who are the same way, and they're not that you've said this, but people were like, oh, I'm so sorry. They'll apologize for being like hard to work with. And I'm like, trust me, like I got you. I'm like, cause I am totally that way and I get it or have been that way.
Yes, yes,
So
all
had
true.
you, yeah. So prior to us working together, what was your experience with energy work?
I've worked with practitioners who do over body work, meaning they could be, instead of doing adjustments as a chiropractor, they may work with energy streams through the body in order to align and adjust. I would work with acupuncturists. My best friend is an extraordinary astrologer, so I would glean some additional information about, well, who am I, and what could I be doing that I'm not doing. Mm-hmm. I'm not an avid fan of doing astrology, every month or something like that.
Right.
There were a number of different people who had or are practitioners doing body work, moving energies, and so on. Some very good, some I stayed with, some I did not because I just didn't see staying with them. And that's true here in Wilmington.
Yeah. So it's one of the things that I get from people is, the amount of energy work that I do when I'm working with somebody in a one-on-one container is a lot. Like we clear out your heart wall, we clear out your energy centers, we clear out what's called human assemblage point, and we clear out your body, brain, and heart messages. And that's just the foundational stuff. Then after that, you direct which way we go and stuff to work on. And sometimes people are like, oh my gosh, that's so much. And I get it. It does seem like so much. But I'm curious, what was your experience going through, like experiencing all of that work?
Well, with you, I went with you, and I went with a 6-month and then 3-month approach, and then month to month, and basically that's where we are now, month to month. I did that because I knew that you, and it was very clear to me that you were someone very unique with an extraordinary, varied skill set and a lot of tricks in your bag that I have never come across with any of the people that I have worked with. So I was thrilled, to be working with you. I was gratified and grateful that, you wanted me to work with you. I knew that cleaning out the heart wall, in a sense, allowing it to be all that it could be, at least as a beginning point, and going from there through many different exercises, your clearings that come as part of your package were all very helpful for me. And of course, after a clearing, typically, it's not something that may be found as a result on the cellular level, but it takes time to change. It's not something, especially if it's an ingrained, as with me, an ingrained way that I react since childhood. So right. I mean, after all those years, it's going to take a while to clear it out to the cellular level of our bodies.
Mm-hmm. And how did it feel for you, like just in getting the work, and then like I also have something in my eye. I think we both have like something floating in both of our spheres, getting in our eyes. In your experience, just as far as like the processing part of the energy work, how was that for you?
Well, you supported that, and it could have been through texting. It could have been through another exercise, writing out this, talking to you every week, every other week, because there's only so many sessions per month, was very helpful in filling out the form. And I noticed as I did it more and more and more, filling out that form for you before a session, a session form, that I got better at it. And especially lately, when I look back on it, it's more meaningful for me. I'm giving more of who I really am now than I ever did before. In a sense, I didn't have a full understanding how to express myself, through the bodies, the emotional, mental, physical, and spiritual bodies,
Right.
Especially emotional and mental bodies. They were just all over the place.
Yeah. So did you feel like when we did the energy work, because you're having, and excuse me as I'm rubbing my eye, but did you have was it challenging for you on a physical body level with the amount of energy work that we did?
There were times, yes, and I would tell you so. So I became more attuned to my body and how it reacted. I noticed that I would come and go with the Healy machine, and you running the Healy machine. And I noticed, and sometimes I would text you and say, you ran the Healy machine just now, right? Because I could feel the change in my body.
Yeah.
And my reaction to it. So, and then other times I was very thankful for it to be on. Yeah.
Yeah. So it wasn't something that was like debilitating to you in your life, because I think that's one of the concerns that a lot of times people have. And not, I know, because people share it with me, is like, this is like, I'm not going to be able to handle this, and I'm just going to be laid in my bed, recovering. And I always tell them, like, when the heart wall, is why I always work first with the heart wall, right? Is because when we can clear that out, the heart, your body is so much more open to healing. But when we have that, we're so closed off, and we just see fear everywhere.
Yes.
Yeah.
So true. Yes.
Yeah. And I would say for you, even, that was an emotion that was like, there was fear of like doing it right, like, moving forward in decisions. Am I making the right decisions? Where do you feel like that plays in your life right now?
Without the work that I did with you, I wouldn't be able to converse with the scientists who I need to speak to, including those that are coming up as part of an institute, Nonwoven Institute at North Carolina State. And here I'm working every other week with a group in Leeds, England. I'm not a scientist there, but I'm able to at least express myself. I met with a man yesterday at, basically it's part of University of North Carolina, Wilmington, and it works with entrepreneurs and innovators, as well as small businesses, who need support, funding, whatever. But I noticed when I left that I was able to express myself clearly and felt comfortable doing it. I had never been able to do that and slow my brain down, because what I would typically do would my eye contact with someone would skip, meaning I would have to leave my eye contact with that person who I was talking to, so that I could remember where my stream of verbalizing was.
Yeah.
And so it's grounded considerably with work that I've done with you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I would say, and thank you for that. I would say too, that even just being, us doing this, like,
yes.
You remember, like, when we first talked, like the idea of like being on a screen, like,
yes.
it wasn't to me, what you were talking about, like having to do a Zoom with somebody else. And it was like, nope, don't want to do it. Right?
That's correct. Yeah,
Yeah.
got very nervous about it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That's awesome. I love that. I love that.
And frankly, I'm much more comfortable being at the age that I am of 75, almost 76.
Yeah.
So, being that is fine. I've gotten to understand what it means. And more important, here in Wilmington, why are all these people attracted to me? And so there's more than just my age involved. So, and I accept that.
Yeah. I mean, it's the energy, and your groundedness and acceptance of yourself is so drastically different than when we first started working together.
So true. So true.
It makes me so excited. I love what I get to do. So, okay. If there was somebody who was like thinking about working with me, but like, oh, I don't know. I mean, because I know we talked beforehand, there's a couple people that you're like, oh, they might be reaching out to you. What would you say to them about, what it's like to work with me?
As I told a family member, I told him that if he wanted to work with someone whose experience is so varied, that you would be a perfect match for him. I looked at who had been recommended to this individual, and I looked at her background, and I, being who I am, immediately knew that it was not a match, nor would he be able to achieve what he wanted to. And working with you would just make total sense in my mind. I mean, obviously, it's our motivation to want to do it. Mm-hmm. And for me, it's never been a question of motivation. It's always been a question of how am I to do this? And I had you, obviously in my corner to assist in me navigating these changes, within me, so that I could do that. You have an extraordinary large bag of tricks and background that I have never come across with a coach. And I mean, I visited with Tony Robbins, in a seminar or workshop, whatever it was, et cetera, others too. But you're a unique being to work with, as far as I'm concerned.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Well, I will receive that. Okay. So one last question. Well, one last thing is there anything that I didn't ask you that you would want to share?
No, I think you asked all of the most pertinent questions. I'm clear that the choices that I make, the use of what you've basically pounded into my brain, which when I'm doing yoga, I can think about, acknowledge, accept, and allow as the base, the AAA as the base for manifesting. And realize once you put that out, you don't have to keep putting that out, multiple times during the day, that if the clarity of what you're trying to achieve is presented, it will come back. And this is what I've noticed over the last couple of months, even more so.
Yeah.
And I'm still going to have privates with you when I reach a certain point. I haven't reached that point yet.
Yeah. And that's what I love, about this work, is that there are some people in the coaching world who are like, you should always be working, with coach, and in the coaching realm, it's like, oh, if this person doesn't like re-enroll with you or whatever, then you're not a good coach. And I'm like, I don't buy into that at all. Like, my job is to help you get to here, and then we may say, you know what, we did what we needed to do together, and it's time to find somebody else to work with. And
Right.
I don't take that as like I'm not a great coach, because I know I'm a great coach. And I know that, right?
Yeah.
But then sometimes it's like, oh, I just need to come off, have a one-off session, and I will do that with people that I've worked with in that 6-month container.
Yes.
I want to take back my thing that I said about the last question and ask you another question I thought about. How would you say your relationship is with money, like before we worked together and now?
That's a good question.
And I'm not talking about like, do I have a ton more now or anything, but like, how is that relationship? How do you feel about money and connecting with money?
I feel more positive about it. So since I left Santa Fe in the beginning of 2021, I guess, or 2020, 2021, and having sold a piece of property in Santa Fe, I haven't had a full-time job. Mm-hmm. And I still feel comfortable that this is my path at the moment, as far as going forward. So I don't have as much doubt or constriction around money. Yes, I'd love to win the $2 billion as everybody else in the country.
Is that what it is? Did nobody win last night?
Nobody won, yeah. So it's way over $2 billion. And, everybody would like to do that. And I mean, I'd be happy if it was just $1 million. But, I feel confident that the project that I've been working on, or that I heard and helped them conceive in 2006, 2007, is valid. And that all that information wasn't given to me just as a hoax by whatever guys or whatever voices I'm connected to. So I'm much more clear about that, more excited. So, I have a new LLC, Soloway Innovations LLC, because I also want to develop and start a expanded restaurant for a little cleaner vegan macro style, including bakery. Now, that doesn't mean that I need to work there. I may sit people or clean tables or whatever, but we'll see how that all unfolds. But I'm confident, and I'm clear that that stream of finances will show itself clearly.
Yeah. I have to say, I love, like, it's been so fun working with you and just seeing the shift from like internal uncertainty,
yes,
like to internal certainty.
Yes. Yeah. I'm able to express it much more clearly, and even in how I think and how I'm able to process has slowed down considerably. I don't try to multitask a zillion things. I may do one or two at one time, but no more overload as I used to do.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. So thank you for sharing your time with us.
Of course.
For letting yourself have a new experience and have your small screen debut. It wasn't as bad as the old you thought it would have been, right?
Yes, totally.
Wait, so it was as bad, or it wasn't as bad?
Oh no, this was much more manageable than I thought.
Right.
Yeah, totally.
Awesome. Okay. So for anyone watching, as you're watching this, if you have any questions about working together, in a one-on-one container with me, reach out, because the work that I do is very, as Michael said, it's different, and it is designed to help you connect back with yourself ultimately. And when you do that, all the other things flow into place, whether they, happen the next day. Because I have clients that literally, they now have kids and homes and spouses that they wanted when we were working together, and they were able to manifest all those things, or it comes further. But either way, nobody's bothered by when it comes, because they're just so content in themselves. And that's ultimately, that's the best way that we can be. So thank you, Michael.
You're welcome, Heather.